welcome back to my channel. My name is Victoria and today we're gonna do the end of the year book tag. I figured that I would just make like a quick tag video. It would be fun, easy, not a lot of brain power in order to do because I still have some struggles with filming like I've had for the entire month. So I'm just gonna go through and answer the couple of questions that are in this tag and we'll talk about my end of the year plans and thoughts. So there are only a few questions in this tag, but I thought that it would be a good, easy video to film. The first question is, are there any books that you started this year that you need to finish? I have a few that I have started in like the last couple of months that I like started and then put down that are ones that I would like to go back to. The first one is Butcher and Blackbird. I can't remember who the author is for this one. Bryn Weaver? Is that right? I think that's right. So I had started this book and I got about 3 hours into the audiobook and then I ended up putting it down. I just wasn't connecting with it at the time that I was reading it, but I would like to go back to it and finish it up at least before the end of the year. Another one that I started and then stopped is The Heir by Sophie Lark. This is one that had been on my TBR for like so long and I keep starting and stopping it and starting and stopping it, but I really would like to finish it because I am like 40% into it, I think, and I think that it would be, I think it's going to be one that I like, and the whole series I think is going to be one that I like, and I would like to continue on with the series, so I would like to be able to finish that one before the end of the year. Another one that's actually a really recent one is The Nanny by Lana Ferguson. I started that one and I'm not that far into it. I'm like 15% of the way through it, but I started it last month and then ended up putting it down. I just wasn't in the mood for it right then. So I'd like to go back to that one. And then the last one that I have is one that I'm actually currently reading right now, and that is Pucking Wild. And I'm like 30% into that one, but I recently just put it down. I've been reading it the last couple of days, but I just put it down, started something else, so I will eventually want to go back to that one. So I think those are the only ones that I'm like in the middle of, or that I've started that I'm not like officially DNFing or anything before the end of the year. The second question is, do you have a book to help transition into the end of the year? And I tend to read fantasy books in like winter. I'm thinking this is like a transfer into winter kind of thing. I tend to read more fantasy books in the winter, so I'm really excited to read more fantasy. I really don't have like a specific book to transition with, but I've been reading a little bit of fantasy recently. I read Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros, and that was a fantasy. And then the one that I just started is Powerless by Lauren Roberts, that I'm excited to read and wanting to read. That's fantasy. I have a few others that I'm really excited of. I want to read Lady of Darkness by Melissa Roerich. I don't really know what this one is about, but it's a fantasy that I've heard a lot of people talk about that's so good. And then there are a few other ones. I'd like to read The Scarlet Veil by Shelby Mahurin, which I think is a new adult one, but that is another fantasy romance that I want to read. I want to read Immortal Longings by Chloe Gong. That's a fantasy romance. So I have a ton of just fantasy romances. I am really feeling like what I read from fall to winter, like as the end of fall into winter, is fantasy romance, and so that is what I'm like super in the mood for right now, and that's what I'm going to continue, hopefully going to continue reading for the next month and a half. That is the end of the year. The next one is there a new release that you're still waiting for? There are actually a couple that I have. I have written them down. Let me go on to my actual like TBR for December that I have written down. Sable Peak by Devney Perry comes out December 7th, and I'm really, really excited about that one. It is the last book in the Eden series. I have loved the Eden series. It's a small town series. I think that that one is Single Dad, so I'm really excited about that one. I want to read Hans by S.J. Tilley. That comes out December 28th. That is the next book in the Alliance series by S.J. Tilley, and I have been absolutely obsessed with this series so much in the last like 4 months since I started reading it. I am so excited for the next book in this series. It's such a good series. The third one that's a new release for the end of the year is Forged by Malice by Elizabeth Helen, which comes out December 5th. That is one that I'm going to definitely be reading before the end of the year. It is the third book in the Bonded by Thorns series, which is a reverse harem Beauty and the Beast retelling series. And I am obsessed with it. So obsessed with it, and I definitely will be reading that before the end of the year. So I think those are the three main ones. I know I have a couple more that I've been wanting to read, but those are the three that I definitely will get to before the end of the year that come out in December. The next question is, what are 3 books you want to read before the end of the year? So those are 3 new releases, but let me give you 3 books that are not really, have already been released, backlist titles. So one of them is Again the Magic by Lisa Kleypas. I have had that on my TBR for so freaking long, and I definitely want to try and get to that one before the end of the year. Another one that I have is When Gracie Met the Grump by Mariana Zapata. That is, I have been waiting for the audiobook to come out, and it just came out recently, so I will definitely be getting that one before the end of the year and trying to finish that. I absolutely love Mariana Zapata, and I haven't read a new book from her in over a year, so I'm really excited to read a new one from her. Then the third book that I definitely want to read before the end of the year is Losers by Harley LaRue. It's a dark bully romance reverse harem, and I finally got the audiobook for it, and I've just been wanting to read it so much, but I'm a little intimidated by it. But that's the third one that I'm going to say that I want to try and read before the end of the year. Then the next one is there a book you think could shock you and become a favorite book of the year? I'm going to say yes. I don't know what specific book it could be, but for the last 2 years, I've had a book at the end of November or early December end up on my favorites of the year list. And last year I did top 22 of 2022. I don't think I'm going to do that this year. I think that the most that I'm going to do is maybe 15, like top 10 and then 5 extras. There is potential, definitely. I read a lot of good books this year, but I think that there is potential that any of the books that I read in the end of the year could make it onto my top 15, especially because in the last 2 years, there has been one at the end of the year. So I don't know what book could be it. I mean, Again the Magic has been on my TBR for ages, and that's a lot of people's like all-time favorite historical, so that could definitely make the list. I've been thinking about reading A Love Letter to Whiskey, and I know everyone loves that book, so maybe that one could make my top favorites of the year list. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm excited for the potential of what could come, because I really have no idea what's going to end up on my top favorites of the year. I haven't really looked back at my favorites of the year so far, so I think that it'll be really cool to see what ends up on that list. The final question is, have you already started making plans for next year? Very slightly. I have a readathon that I've announced with some friends that I'm doing, which is the readathon for the Crescent City series by Sarah J. Maas, and that goes into the end of the year. So we're reading House of Earth and Blood in December, and then one each month, so that'll be January and February for the other 2 in the series. So that's the start of next year. I have started looking and making a list of the new releases that are coming out next year, so that's just ones that I want to read that are coming out next year, but I haven't like officially made like plans of what I'm going to do. I tend to do that in December when I'm doing my end of year content and everything, or I do a lot of my end of year content actually in January because I want to wait until the actual end of the year. So I'll tend to start planning really more in December what I'm going to do in my January content. So that's the last one of the questions. I am absolutely and utterly shocked that it is the end of November already. My birthday is 2 weeks from the day that this video goes up, so that means that 2 weeks from today is December, because my birthday is December 2nd. So that blows my mind, scares me half to death, because this year has gone so fast, and faster than like any other year has gone for me. And I feel like as I'm getting older, I get more and more stressed about how fast the years are going. So I'm nervous, but excited for what 2024 can hold. I'm hoping that I can make some things happen in 2024 that I had to be put on hold in 2023. So I have high hopes for what 2024 holds. So let me know down in the comments what books that you're excited to read before the end of the year and any books that you want me to read before the end of the year. But that's going to be it for this video. So like if you liked it, subscribe, stick around, see more content from me, and I hope that you have the absolute best day.